Welcome back to the channel today, guys. And after watching this episode, I'm kind of convinced of one thing. That Ryu, I feel like she's gonna die. I really can't shake that feeling after this episode, that she is going to be the one that dies. Because here's my thought process with that. What would really drive Bell into despair? Obviously his friend's dying, but I don't think this show's got the balls to kill off someone from his familia. I don't think they have the balls to do that. So what would really drive Bell into despair? Because despair is here. And I've come to the conclusion that it's probably Ryu dying. Which I don't want, because she's one of my favorite characters, obviously, but this episode, I feel like, just has a giant sign on it that says she's gonna die. And I ain't looking forward to it. But this episode today was very good. And as I just said, despair is here. I'm very interested in next week's episode. But for now, let's talk about this week's. So, Danmachi Season 4, Episode 9 today. So our episode begins where our last one left off with Bell confronting Ryu in an attempt to try to figure out what the hell is going on. And he starts asking her questions like, are you responsible for cutting this man's arm and ear off? Which she does not deny in the slightest. And then he asks her, there was a man that was killed on the 18th floor. Are you responsible for that? And at first she doesn't want to answer, saying she doesn't have the time for this. But Bell keeps pressing the issue like, please, I need to know the answer to this. And she demands that, no, I did not kill that man. And after hearing that heartfelt no from her, it's enough for Bell to conclude that she was not the person that killed her. And he says, I will choose to believe in her. And this shocks her. She can't believe it. After this unsightly scene she's putting on, she can't believe that Bell would believe her in this situation. But he does. And he turns to Juri and says, you're the one that started all this. You did all this. This item I picked up on the ground is blaze rock. It's highly combustible. That giant explosion that happened earlier was your doing, wasn't it? On top of that, the wounds you have are from when she hunted you down previously, isn't it? You didn't get these right now. And it's at this moment that Jura finally shows his true self and admits the cat's out of the bag, huh? And he says, you useless motherfuckers couldn't even delay her for me. You guys are worthless. And he finally shows his true colors here. And Bell apologizes to Ryu that he ever even doubted her in the first place. And then she apologizes to him that you saw such an unsightly side of myself. My temper clouded my judgment. I apologize to you as well. I appreciate you believing in me, Bell, despite my foolishness. Let's take this sick fuck down together. And they agree to tag team Juri. And it's here that Jura has to remind them that I'm not alone. Did you forget? I'm a monster tamer, baby. As he summons forth a giant creature, apparently. And it's here we transition the Fells actually giving a report to Oranos down in the dungeon. And it turns out that they discovered an entire another room of caged monsters. Because if you remember in Season 3, the Ikelos Familia were caging and selling monsters for a profit. But it turns out that they weren't the only one. That Evilis was actually doing something very similar. They were capturing these extremely high-level monsters from the lower floors and caging them up for their nefarious deeds. And Fells found another such room right now. And it's here in this caged room that we see two giant cages completely ripped open. And two creatures have apparently gotten out. And it's here that we transition back to Team Hestia as they're confronted by Turk, actually. Swords at their throats, threatening to kill them, because he's finally shown his true colors too, that he's been working with Jura this entire time. And he also summons forth a creature. And we get these giant serpents, these giant snakes. We have 2 of them. One at Team Hestia's and one at Bell and Ryu's, actually. And it's revealed that these creatures are Labatons. Giant serpents that can actually go in between the floors. But they reside on very low levels of the dungeon. But they have the ability to burrow through the floors at any given time. Just imagine how dangerous that would be in something like the dungeon. You're on a floor you're not even supposed to be, kind of like this situation, and then this thing shows up all of a sudden. That would be terrifying. And it's here that our two-sided, or should I say two-fronted fight with the Labatons begin. And it looks like it's going to be a very hard fight. Because we transition to Team Hestia, and they're running. They are running. I imagine they will have a much tougher time with this fight than Bell and Ryu will. And they are running for their lives right now. Welf's even saying that we're going to get wiped out if we can't get away from this thing. We got to move. We got to book it. And Cassandra in this situation is worried that, did I make a mistake? I thought despair wasn't supposed to happen if we weren't on that one floor. Did I make a mistake somewhere? And Aisha is trying to address this situation somewhat calmly, like, alright, we can't just keep running. We can't fight this thing in this room. We need to find a field, which is a room that has a dead end, or they'll never be able to fight this thing. Because in a giant open room like this, with no, I guess you could say, wall in it, with something this huge and this mobile, they are at a complete disadvantage. And Aisha comments that it's impossible for them to follow Turk and stop him now because of this creature, which means that they are able to enact their plan undisturbed now, which we will see later is horrible. And it's here we transition back to Bell and Ryu's fight with this thing. And it's a very hard fight. They are constantly on their toes fighting this thing because it can burrow underground. So 1 second it will attack them, the next second it will go underground, and you have no idea where it's coming from. And Bell is kind of at his wit's end fighting this thing. He's not really sure how to fight this thing. It can quickly go from him to Ryu to back to him. Bell even comments that its movements are so erratic. It's so fast, it's so mobile, that it's incredibly hard for them to fight. But it's here in this moment that Jura is unprotected, that Ryu tries to take him out right here. But the Labaton is so fast that it's able to knock her away and knocks her clear across the room to where Bell is. And it's at this moment that Bell comments like, there's no way that this Jura guy is just a high-level tamer, right? Something's not right here. And even Ryu says, no, he was never this strong. He should not be able to control this monster. And Jura in this moment reveals that, yeah, I'm not the one controlling this. This magic item that I have is. The guys that were in the Konios Familia managed to create this forbidden item that can tame any monster, no matter what. So with this, I can tame this giant creature and he'll listen to my every whim. And Jura's commenting that even in a situation like this, look how my hand is trembling from the trauma I've been inflicted on by you damn elf. I can't get the sight of you killing all my familia out of my mind. There was a sea of blood after you wiped them out. And I'm just thinking the whole time, like, this guy's got some freaking nerve to be saying that shit. He's got some nerve to be saying that to her. And it's here we transition back to Team Hestia as they finally find a place where they can fight the Labaton. And Aisha actually says to Haruhime that it's time for us to do the level boost. We need to do it. But don't do it on everyone you can. If you pass out here, that could be a death sentence for all of us. Just do it on me, Welf, and Oka right here. Just do it on us, and we will fight this creature. And Aisha even comments that, there's never a dull moment with you guys. You guys never fail to entertain me. And coming from an Amazon, Welf and Oka are a little flattered as they get level boosted and prepare to fight this creature, which they probably have no business beating. And it's here we transition back to Bell and Ryu's fight, where the fight is very obnoxious, as Bell even says himself. But Ryu's figured out a strategy to defeat this thing. She has a plan, and she wants Bell to cover her in that plan so she can enact it. And it's here as they're discussing their battle strategy that Turk literally calls out to Bell and says, "You don't want to be around that bitch. You're going to die if you stay around her." And he starts explaining that, "Do you know how many people died because she was looking for me? I knew she wouldn't stop until she caught me, which is why I used Turk to deal with her." And he explains that Gene, who is the adventurer that was murdered at the beginning of our season, was actually Turk's idea to kill him so that the people of Rivera would turn against her. And Bell's like, "He was on your side, wasn't he?" He's like, "You're damn right he was, but he worked. He did his job well, didn't he?" And Jura says, "Yeah, he was one of my friends. But guess what? So were all the people that were in that hallway who burned to death earlier. They were all my friends too." And I bet seeing that really motivated the execution squad, huh? Just really showing what an absolute fucking scumbag Jura is. He'll sacrifice anyone to get revenge on Ryu. And it's at this moment that Bell is completely certain that they have to stop this guy no matter what. And it's here that Bell and Ryu start enacting their strategy against the Lamiton. How Bell is supposed to be the distraction while Ryu is dodging his attacks and using an enchantment right here. Building up her magic for one huge attack. And she's doing an incredible job of dodging all these attacks as she continues to keep chanting. And Bell is doing his best to be a distraction. Now, Jura starts freaking out by this, demanding the Labyrinth go underground. But this is all part of Ryu's strategy. Once it starts going underground, Bell is to hit it with his magic to keep it from burrowing underground, and it works spectacularly. And this is where Ryu actually uses her spell and does severe damage on the Labyrinth, knocking it into the wall, and a giant rock falls on it, and they're actually able to defeat it that way. And it's here we transition back to Team Hestia, and Oka and Welf are going through it. They are trying their hardest to stop this thing, but they're having an extremely tough time with it. They can only get healed so much. But they're able to hold it back enough, and Chigusa is able to weaken it enough with her arrows that Aisha is able to actually cut its head off, and they actually defeat the monster as well. And with them taking out the monster, they start celebrating. Everyone's happy, except for Cassandra. As she starts thinking to herself, like, this was the Great Despair? This couldn't be it. And I thought that myself while watching the episode too. I was like, there's no way this is it. This is too easy. This isn't like pure and utter like despair like we were promised. And she even comments that, like, there's not enough fear. There's not enough despair. This can't be it. This monster was too easily defeated to be the embodiment of ruin. And it's here as Bell and Ryu are confronting Jura that he just starts laughing like, this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. I was just a distraction, as we see what Turk and all his guys have been doing. They put that blaze rock across the entire dungeon floor, and they ignite it all at once, blowing it all up and trapping everyone here, causing severe damage to this floor. Because you see, the Great Falls and this floor are connected. They're essentially one floor. So when it takes a lot of damage, the dungeon's going to panic. Because you see, the dungeon is a living creature, a living entity basically in this series. And with this much damage happening to it, the dungeon's going delirious. Jura says, I've summoned despair. And Ryu starts freaking the fuck out. Like, we've never seen her get this worked up before. She's like, do you understand the gravity of what you just did? And Jura says that for these 5 years since that incident, I've been studying this creature. And I've been trying to figure out the best way to do this. Also, I could see the panicked, shocked look on your face. I've thought of it every single night. She tries to kill him right there, but Bell stops her. And in this instance, I got a little mad at Bell. Like, I get it, I understand it, but no, kill this bastard. I feel that way. Kill this bastard. I get it, but he doesn't deserve to live. There's an extent. There's an extent to being nice, Bell. Come on now. And while he's holding her back, they hear the cry of this monster. And Ryu actually starts shaking. She says, no, not again. It's exactly the same, just like that one time. Meaning that this monster was the monster that wiped out her familia. As she apologizes to Elise. Elise, which was apparently someone who was murdered by this creature. And in this situation, she's begging Bell, run. Get out of here. I don't want you to die too. At the very least, you have to escape out of here, Bell. Run. And it's at this moment that despair is shown for the first time. And we even see Cassandra fall to her knees here because she knows this is it. This is her premonition right here. As we see the face of despair as our final shot as our episode ends. And I gotta say, guys, this episode was good. I'll be real, I figured again right away that those snakes were not it. There was no way those snakes were it. I didn't think so. They were too easily defeated. And it's like Cassandra said, there wasn't enough fear and despair. Have I said despair enough this episode? But yeah, guys, I'm so curious as to next week's episode. I really, truly want to see it very badly. Like, this is a hell of a cliffhanger to leave us on. And what the hell is going to happen? As I said in the beginning, like, I can't shake the feeling that Ryu's going to be the one that dies. I just can't shake that feeling, guys. I feel like that would be the thing that would cause Bell the most despair in this situation. But you let me know what you think down below. And that'll be it for today's episode, guys. Like I said, I'm very excited for next week. But I'm also hesitant because I feel like some bad shit's going to happen. But you guys let me know down below. But until next time, guys, hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. Until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and try not to feel despair yourself. Remember, look on the bright side and smile. I'll see you guys next time.